Hello students, I welcome you again to this interesting session of today. We have already covered a lot of facts and information about the earthquakes in our previous session. Today we will continue again the remaining portion of the chapter. So let's continue. So I do hope that you all are ready with your books. So let's get started. What will you do? This is very important to know. If such kinds of natural disasters occur, then what we have to do and how should we take precautions to help ourselves from these horrible situations. People from the groups also made children in Jasma's school practice what they should do in case there is an earthquake. This is what they said. If possible, leave the house and go to an open ground. If you cannot go out of the house, lie down under a strong thing like a table and hold on tightly so that it does not slip away. Wait until the shaking stops. Have you been told in your school or anywhere else about what to do in case of an earthquake? Why do you think one should go under a table during an earthquake? So, after the earthquake, everybody wanted the people to be alert and warned properly so that if something happened in the future like this, they would be able to help themselves. So, there was a kind of drill. So, they said that whenever this kind of situation occurs, if possible, they should leave the house immediately and go to an open ground. It would not hurt them more because of the houses, because of the stones, bricks and mud. Sometimes they get trapped inside the houses, which would be very difficult because they are trapped under the debris and it becomes very difficult to rescue these people. So if it is possible, they should go to an open ground. And it was also advised that if they cannot go out of the house, they should lie down under a strong thing like a table and hold on tightly so that it does not slip away, and they should wait until the shaking stops. Now, have you been told in your school or anywhere else about what to do in case of an earthquake? So children, this is very regular in our schools nowadays. There is always a drill on what to do in case of an earthquake. You would remember there are sometimes fire evacuation drills also. So if there is an emergency, if the building catches fire, how should we get out of the building? There is a drill about that also, about fire safety, about these natural disasters, earthquake also. There are so many drills and practices done. So we were told to go to an open area, and if someone is unable to go to an open area, then it was taught to hide under a strong thing like a table and hold it firmly. Now the next question is, why do you think one should go under a table during an earthquake? So what is the reason behind it? In case of the collapse of house during an earthquake, the table can save a person from injury. Hence, one should go under a table during an earthquake. So this was the reason the people advise to go under a strong table and to hold the table firmly so that it can save you from getting injured. Now let us move towards the next part of the chapter. Who helped? Read this TV report on the Bhuj earthquake. There was a report on the TV about the incident which shook Gujarat completely, especially Bhuj. So this was the report. It was released from Ahmedabad on January 26, 2001. At least 1,000 people are feared dead in the earthquake that struck Gujarat this morning. Many thousands have been injured. Army Jawans have been called in to help. At least 150 buildings have fallen in the city of Ahmedabad. In these, there are a dozen multi-storied buildings. By this evening, around 250 bodies have been removed from these buildings. It is feared that several thousand people may still be trapped. Rescue efforts are on. There is perhaps no building in the city which has not developed cracks. The situation in Bhuj is even worse. People are running around in shock and panic. Within an hour of the earthquake, the fire engines had reached and started work along with the local people. Offers to help are coming from all corners of the country and abroad. So, after reading this report, you have to do something very important. So, according to the TV report, thousands of people were injured and some died in Gujarat. If the buildings had been made in a way that they would not fall in the earthquake, would the damage have been different? How? So, it is up to you. Do you think that if the houses would have been built in a different way, how far it would have been successful to save the people from the damage, and how? Yes, do you have any idea? I know you have got the idea with you. So let's see the answer for this. So here is the answer for you. People do not die because of earthquake, but they die or get injured because of house collapse. So if the buildings are made earthquake proof, then there will be least damage in case of an earthquake. So this is the reason the damage would be less. Okay. Now let us move to the next question. Here is the question for you. At times like this, when people have lost their homes and all their belongings, what kind of help would they need? Yes, you are absolutely correct. At such times, people would need the following help: tent or canvas to prepare huts, clothes, food, water, milk and medicines, which are very, very essential at that time of need. Okay. Now let us move to the next question. In such situations, whose help would be needed and for what? Write it in your notebook as shown here. So there are certain people or creatures who really help us in these kind of tragical situation. So let us compare, let us find out whose help would we need and how are they going to help us. There has been an example given to us, like dog could help us. He could help us to smell out where people are lying trapped, and we could rescue those injured and wounded people, those who are trapped in the debris. So there are other people also who could help, like laborers who can help in digging out the rubble and to build new homes, doctors who can help to provide medical care, designers and architects who can help to design quake-proof houses, government organizations who could help to provide required relief measures, and the non-government organizations who would help to provide required relief measures. Now there is a very important part in this chapter where we saw that after the earthquake, all the villagers came together. They didn't get disheartened or discouraged, but keeping the pain inside, they helped each other, and that helped them to overcome their pain and suffering. So this is very important, this is very essential in these kinds of crucial times, children. You need the emotional support, the mental support, which helps you to overcome the tough situation in your life. So that's why we are surrounded by these kinds of people around us. We have our family members, we have relatives, we have neighbors. Let us discuss some important questions now. Here is the question. Have you ever seen people in your area helping each other? When is that? So, there are different instances when people help each other. So, in this case, like you can mention when you were helped, where you have seen the people helping in each other. So, in every place there are situations, there are circumstances where people in the neighborhood, they come for help. Sometimes it's a marriage ceremony, sometimes it's a birthday party, sometimes it's a death of a person, sometimes these are the natural disasters like flood or earthquake. People come for helping each other, isn't it? Sometimes are happy, sometimes are bad times, but still then these people come for help. Okay. Now the next question is, why do people live together in a neighborhood? It's a very important question. Students, we all know that man is a social being. He cannot live alone or isolated. He needs a company, whether it's the company of your near ones, whether it's the company of your friends, whether it's the company of your family or neighbors. We need company. We cannot stay isolated. It makes us feel depressed, and sometimes anxiety also is there. So in order to avoid these situations, people always need the company of others where they enjoy themselves, where they share their happiness and they are really very happy. So it is very important to live together in a neighborhood. You have to ponder over this question: why do people live together in a neighborhood? Yes, people live together in a neighborhood so that they can help each other during the times of crisis. They also live together so that they can share their happiness with each other. So that's why we all stay in a neighborhood. Now let us move to the next question. These questions are for you to think about, and you can note it down and you can share your own thoughts about this question. Imagine living in a place where there were no other houses or people around. How would it be? For example, whom would you play with? With whom would you celebrate festivals and special days? Would you be scared? So this is a very important question for you to answer. We all are in need of friends. So if you are completely alone, how would you spend your time and how it would be for you? Please do mention and please do express it in your own words. Now let us see what's the next question. People face a lot of difficulties when they lose people from their family or their houses and belongings. In newspapers of the last 1 month, look for news related to such disasters: earthquakes, floods, fires, cyclones, etc. Collect these news reports and paste them in your notebook. Recently, we have got so many news of these kinds of disasters. Let it be the flood in Kerala or Bihar, let it be the cyclonic storm in Odisha like Fani and Titli. So every now and then these things are happening. So you could find these kinds of news reports and you can paste them in your notebook. That would add to your knowledge. Now you have something to do on your own. You have to create your own news report. So you have to make your own report which mentions the following. You have to mention what disaster you experienced, what was the cause of the disaster, date and time, what kind of damage did it cause to lives, belongings and livelihoods, which people came forward to help, and which government offices or other groups. Okay, so this is what you have to do on your own. Now if there is no rain, crops can fail and there can be a drought. But food for people can be brought from other places so that there is no famine, which means people don't have to stay hungry and they don't die of hunger. So whenever there is a drought, so there is no rain, there are no crops, but people should survive and people should get something to eat. So in order to help these people, there are always special agencies which come to the rescue of these people. Because of drought, there should be no famine in which the people starve to death because they die of hunger. Think about these questions and make your own report. Like this is a question for you. Have people in your area ever got affected by famine or drought? Find such reports of different countries from newspapers and make your own report. So you have to explore a lot, you have to find out so many facts and information about the different countries, and then you can make your own report. You may need some help from these in case of an accident or emergency. So find out and write their addresses and phone numbers, add more names to this list. So nowadays there are so many situations in which we get stuck. So we should always keep a note of the emergency numbers so that in case of this kind of crisis, they could come to help us. So you should get the numbers of fire station, nearby hospital, ambulance and police station. Now let us see what is more in store. Difficult time. So in this part you have to write a report with the help of the following words. Student, it is very important to enhance your imaginative skills and creativity so that you have that ability to express the things in your own way, in your own style. So here are so many words given to you. You can take the help of those words and can write a report with the help of the following words. Now let us analyze what we have learnt so far. Students, we got to know that there are these kinds of natural disasters which are beyond our control. Yes, nowadays the advanced technology has helped us to get warnings beforehand so that the government is extra careful and conscious and takes appropriate measures to help the people and not make them suffer. But still then we should be careful and conscious of these situations. We saw the incident which shook the earth. The state of Gujarat was completely devastated and it took a lot of time and effort to rebuild the villages and towns to what it was earlier. So we have to be careful and we have to be vigilant. And we should thank the government agencies as well as the non-government agencies who always come to help in these kind of critical situations. Now, if we analyze the chapter, what we have learnt, we have some questions. What type of difficulties are faced by people during floods? We have already learnt about the situation, the disaster, earthquake. Now, let us find out what can happen, what kinds of difficulties would occur if people are caught in flood. Yes, so many kinds of difficulties would be faced by people during floods. Many people, they lose their near and dear ones. Many people get injured. There is a huge loss of property. Crops and houses get destroyed. A large number of cattle dies. There is acute shortage of drinking water because there is impure and polluted water everywhere. Road and rail network is badly damaged. Waterborne epidemics spread in the affected area because the water is very, very dirty and polluted. Now you can see a picture. So you have to look at this picture carefully. What kind of a school have the children come to after the flood? There is a kind of school. Write down what people had to do to make their life normal again after the flood. So after the flood, children are forced to study in a makeshift school. This is not a permanent school, this is a temporary makeshift school which is made and could be shifted again. So what things are done here? People have to start from scratch to make their life normal because they have lost so many things and it really takes so much of time to get back to normal. And they have to start everything again from the root level, from the beginning. So that is to start from scratch. Cleaning the house and submerged goods is the first measured task after the flood water recedes. Many people may have to start an altogether new occupation to earn money. People have to rebuild their houses. They have to arrange for safe drinking water. And the government has to restore the rail and road network as quickly as possible. So, students, this was such an enriching chapter where we not only got to see the strength of the neighborhood, the occurrences and effect of the natural disasters, and how could we avoid these kinds of situations. So students, we should always be prepared to face these kinds of situations in our daily life, whether it is a disaster, whether it is an accident, whether it's a crisis. So if we are physically and mentally prepared, then only we could face this situation courageously and boldly. And very important is to make a good rapport with your neighbors around. Such is a time when we all are very busy in our hectic daily schedules. So some of us don't even get to know our neighbors who are staying beside us. Sometimes we don't even talk to them. But students, in this busy life, we have to maintain this good rapport with our neighbors. So make it a point to talk to your neighbors, have a good time with them, so that whenever there is a crisis or a difficult situation, we all come forward to help each other. That's the importance of staying in the neighborhood. Whether it is any special function in our homes or it's the moment of distress, we should always stand with each other. We should share happiness as well as sorrows, because when happiness is shared, it is doubled, and whenever the sorrow is shared, it gets reduced, it is halved. So it is very important to talk to your neighbors around and build a good rapport with them, so that in the time of need we are together and we could face any tough situation in our life. So with this notion, I say goodbye, with a hope to meet you again in another interesting session of our class. So till then, be safe, keep smiling and exploring. Thank you. Bye-bye.